We are here with Jesse Kotton, 6-time champion in Yu-Gi-Oh! Fun fact, he has the most wins and also the most second place finishes. So he's tasted victory and also tasted the most almost victory. I mean, how did that feel?
It's bittersweet, like, to imagine that it could have been so much better, but you know, it's pretty good, so I really have no reason to complain.
You could be like a 10-time champion.
It would be 12, right? If I won all of them, but that would be obscene.
50-50 record in the finals. I'll take it. I mean, the best I've ever done is I got 3rd place in YCS Memphis with Metalfoe True Draco, and I lost to Kamal Crooks and his first ever YCS win. So I can say that I had a part in his first YCS win by losing to him in top 4. So I feel like I had something to do with it. All right, we're going to be showing you some Magic the Gathering cards. I know you have a tiny bit of experience with Magic, tiny bit of experience with Commander, but these cards might be a little bit shocking to you. Some of them are really, really good, and some of them are really, really bad. And there's probably no in between. So are you ready?
Okay. All right, I'm excited to see what you got for me. Okay, we got Thought Not Seer. We got this 4 mana, colorless, all. When Thought Not Seer enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card and exile that card. When Thought Not Seer leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. Oh, so you can't be you, right? You're not an opponent, obviously.
No. I wish.
There's a 4 mana 4/4 that is a Forceful Sentry-esque. Which, yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh card. But it makes your opponent draw when it leaves the field. Unless you have some way to turbo this out as a cheat. I mean, this doesn't seem great. I don't love the stats. The stats are like, but 4 mana is not. I don't know. I don't feel it's that good. And I've played, like, the thing is, I don't know all the different formats. I don't know if some formats the power level's low enough where this is good. But when I played a bit of Modern and I was playing Thoughtseize and stuff, the hand rip cards were just way more efficient than this. So I can't imagine this is worth it. I'd say this card's probably pretty bad, right?
What's your final answer?
Final answer is it's pretty bad.
This card is very strong.
Really?
This card is played in Modern at a very, very high rate.
Huh.
Yeah. This card is one of the reasons. Well, no, I can't say this card's one of the reasons, but the deck that this was in is in a deck, probably the best deck of all time in Modern. It's called Eldrazi Winter, and it played a lot of these Eldrazi in it, the creature type there in Thought Not Seer.
Yeah.
And they had 2 different lands, and I know you mentioned it a little bit. You said if you can cheat it out. There is a land called
There's
you were on the right track. There's a land that is currently banned because of the Eldrazi Winter deck called Eye of Ugin, and it says your Eldrazi it's just a land that can't tap for mana, but it says your Eldrazi's cost 2 less, like 2 generic mana less to cast. So you go Eye of Ugin, and then cast this for free. So, and there's also Eldrazi Temple, which you can tap it for 2 colorless mana if you're casting an Eldrazi. So either Eye of Ugin or that card, there's 8 copies of them in your deck, and you get to, like, basically play this card on as early as turn 2 of the game, and then you play a Thought Not Seer, you look at their hand, you take a card, and then they probably can't kill it because you did this on turn 2 or 3 of the game, and then you start hitting them for 4, and you kill them.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds a lot better, right? You're cheating it out. 4 mana or a 2 mana 4/4 is obviously a lot better than a 4 mana 4/4.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it is hard to predict synergies if you don't know the rest of the context. But
yes, that's the plan. Predict the synergies.
Yes.
This card is also still played to this day in, like, the sideboard of Tron decks. It used to be played in the sideboard of Mono Green Tron, but now they play Karn Great Creator. Don't expect you to know what that card is, but it basically can fetch out of your sideboard an artifact to your hand. So now they just play Karn boards, like a wish board of, like, almost all artifacts, and they don't play Thought Not Seer anymore. But this was played for years and years and years mono green Tron. It was even played in other Tron decks, other colorless decks, and it was in the best modern deck of all time.
Another 4-mana card, Reaper of the Wilds, 2 colorless, 1 black, 1 green. Creature Gorgon. I have no idea what synergies Gorgon has. Whenever another creature dies, scry once. That's like look at the top card of your deck and put it at the top or bottom. All right, and then Reaper, and then the black. You can tap 1 black. Reaper of the Wild gains Death Touch. Tap 2, including 1 green, and it gains Hexproof. And it's a 4/5. The 3 abilities. That's some Yu-Gi-Oh standards, but are they worth it?
Yeah, this kind of is a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
It is kind of a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Whenever another creature dies, not just yours. So if it kills something, it does it as well.
Yep.
I don't remember hexproof. If you you can chain to the ability, right, when it gets hexproof, and then just kill it anyways.
Well, no. If you chain it, if they target Reaper, it's different than in Yu-Gi-Oh. In Yu-Gi-Oh, if you target something and then you say it can't be targeted, you've already targeted it. In Magic, it's the opposite. If you target it with a kill spell and then you give it hexproof, it's giving it hexproof in response, so that the targeting actually doesn't work.
And that's chainable, right?
Yeah, it's chainable.
Yeah. Okay, that makes it way better than I imagine, right? Because like you just so it's really. I imagine this helps you with mulligans. Mulligan will help you like sculpt your hand a bit with the scrying, and it usually trades up in value. Again, it's hard to know the format. I think is green able to cheat on mana a little bit better? I think it gets lands faster. At least when I played a bit, like there was the Amulet Titan, which I'm pretty sure got lands better.
Green is usually known for ramping.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, this seems solid. 4/5 for format. I don't know how great that is, but I mean, you can trade up into a bigger minion with Death Touch, or creature.
Minion. And, you have monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh, and you're saying minion. You've been playing Hearthstone?
They all get jumbled together. Creature, minion, Pokemon, monster. I have to imagine this is almost meta dependent, though, right? Like I feel like if you're playing a green deck and there's like a lot of these spell heavy decks, like control decks, maybe like blue or whatever, or like I don't remember exactly what other have a lot of spells. Maybe white. This card would be pretty good. Or trading up into like big minions because of the Death Touch. I'm gonna say this card's pretty solid. I'm gonna get this wrong. I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't know if it's insane, but I'd say it's good.
This card was really hyped at the time, but there was a card that came out called Siege Rhino shortly after this card came out, and Siege Rhino is a 4-mana 4/5 as well, and then when it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life and your opponent loses 3 life, and it has Trample, which tramples like piercing in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
And Siege Rhino dominated that format and actually went ahead, and I believe he either won the Pro Tour that year, or there was a lot of copies in the top cut of Pro Tour. For the Pro Tour with Siege Rhino, and this card was super hyped because of all these abilities, but then everyone realized that you play this on turn 4 and you don't and unless you play this on turn 6 to hold up the hexproof ability, you can just kill this and it got no value, and you can't even get the scry one when they kill this. And there was a big control deck at the time that could kill things on the spot. And so you don't want to really run this out when you have 4 mana. You'd rather run this out when you have 6 mana, but sometimes it's a little bit too late. And Siege Rhino has an enter the battlefield trigger. Of course, that costs no mana, and it allowed you to play against more aggressive decks by gaining the 3 life, and also allowed you to play against other non-aggressive control decks by enter the battlefield. They lose 3 life, so it allowed you to kill people faster and stay alive against aggro decks. And you didn't have enough time or enough mana at the point in time to use Reaper of the Wilds efficiently, so Siege Rhino became the go-to card to play over Reaper of the Wilds right after Siege Rhino came out, and this card fell into obscurity, but it was super hyped.
It doesn't feel like a card that's going to be super defining, but is more so, seems like a solid counter option. So if the meta's not really conducive for it, I can absolutely see how it's not good enough, if there's just a better option.
Yeah.
That's always also the other thing, is if there's always a better substitute, then why the hell would you play the card? It's just worse.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's obviously hard for me to know.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was a better substitute, but this card, I don't even know if this card would have seen play, even if Siege Rhino didn't come out, just because it's not slow, because a 4/5 for 4 is really strong. There's a big card right now in multiple formats called Shield of the Apocalypse. I don't know if you've seen that card before.
No.
It's also a 4-mana 4/5, but it says whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life, and whenever your opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life, and it's a 4/5 Death Touch. And that card is in so many decks, and it's basically the best card in all of Pioneer almost. I don't know if you've played Pioneer before, but it's
No,
a
I
4-mana 4/5 Death Touch, similar to this card, but it has that ability that's just like, if your opponent doesn't get rid of this, they can lose the game.
Yeah.
And before Jesse evaluates our next card, let's hear a word from our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com. CoolStuffInc.com is a proud sponsor of this channel, and you can show your support while getting 5% off your entire order and a free The One James Goblin Shaman token by using the code JAMES5 at checkout. Need singles for constructed or kitchen table play? Looking to pick up sealed product or the latest in Magic accessories? We've got you covered. CoolStuffInc.com is the place for all your Magic the Gathering needs, and support me by using the code JAMES5 at checkout. CoolStuffInc.com. Cool stuff in stock.
Yoron, Sky Nomad. This is interesting art. Legendary creature, Bird Serpent. Yep, that is what it looks like. Companion. Your starting deck contains at least 20 cards more than the minimum deck size. Wait, what? If this card is your chosen companion, you may cast it once from outside the game. Oh, so you're getting a commander almost?
Yeah, it's like you're getting a commander.
But you have to play 20 more cards?
Correct.
Okay. Flying. And when Yoron enters the battlefield, exile a number of other non-land permanents you own and control. Oh, you control. Okay, that's fantastic. I'll return this card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. It's not flash. It's not like it's a quick effect or anything. You can't just do that.
Nope, not a quick effect.
It's 5 mana, white and blue, 3 colorless. Exile a number of other non-land permanents you own and control. Return them to the battlefield. So is this to like reset health on stuff, or like trigger once while face up on the field-esque effect? I don't know if those exist in Magic that well.
Remember when I talked about Siege Rhino and how when it enters the battlefield,
to trigger battle cries. Okay,
it does. You have been playing Hearthstone. I knew it. You said battle cry.
I do play. Yeah, no, I do play Hearthstone.
Okay. So yeah, I can relate to
battle cry.
Hearthstone.
It's such an easier word to say than triggering an on summon effect.
The shorter way to say it.
I think Hearthstone does well. It's keywords.
Yeah, it does do that well. The shortest way to say it is ETB triggers, like enter the battlefield triggers. But
okay.
I don't know the Yugioh. I don't know the Yugioh way to say that. How do you? I don't even know how you say that in Yu-Gi-Oh. On summon effect.
On summon effect. It's dumb. There's not really an abbreviation.
There should be an abbreviation.
I'll call it battle cries. Like,
yeah, you should say ETB effect and just make your opponent look at you funny. But yes, this does re-trigger them. It doesn't reset the health because health resets anyway.
Really?
I guess it would reset the health but health resets anyway at the end of the turn.
Oh right, yeah, I'm thinking of Hearthstone again. You have to play 20 extra cards. It's so bad. Oh man, there's no way playing 20 extra cards. Like unless there's other cards that benefit you for doing that. Can you play multiple companions?
No. That would be crazy.
I don't know. Like,
no, I'm just saying for myself. Like that would be absurd.
Yeah.
I would love that.
5 mana, 4/5 flying. I hate expensive cards. It's when it stops feeling like Yu-Gi-Oh and it feels like that's what very Magic, the expensive-ness.
Yeah, that's true. This is definitely not a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's not free.
Combo decks, right? Where you're re-triggering those ETVs. Otherwise, this seems like 5 mana, 4/5 flying. There's no way that's worth it.
In a combo deck, you definitely
especially
be incentivized.
If you only choose one, there has to be one that's better. At the cost of 20 cards, it has to be like only good in specific combos. Otherwise, like terrible, right?
In a combo deck, you wouldn't want to play 60 cards in your deck or 80 cards in your deck.
Yeah, I mean,
because you want to see your combo pieces.
Well, I don't know if there's that many tutors, right? Like it's all about math. And if there's enough tutors, you can go above 40 because you keep. It's about ratios and that terms of probability, right? So if you can maintain the same ratio of good cards or whatever at above 60,
Yep.
In Magic, I mean, you'd still do that, right? It's not about the number of cards; it's about percentages.
Oh
So,
yeah.
given if there's enough tutors, I'd still consider that a combo. Obviously, if there's not, then no. So yeah, I mean, my inclination is it's not good.
Are you ready? About to blow your
Yeah,
mind.
I'm ready. Give me the answer.
I'm gonna blow your mind. This card is broken.
How is this broken?
This card actually is banned in Modern.
How is it broken?
It's broken because you have it as in your companion zone, so you always have access to it at all times. Number one.
Yeah.
What this card doesn't say on it is that the companion says you have to pay 3 colorless mana to add it to your hand at sorcery speed at any point in the game. You can't just cast it out of your companion zone. The original ruling was that
8 mana.
The original ruling was that you could cast it back out of everything for not 3 extra mana, but they actually nerfed the rule because companions were so broken. I didn't even mention to you that at first because you were on the track of saying that it was bad already. But if you had started saying it was good, I might have sprinkled in that you have to pay 3 extra mana for it. But there's a lot of cards in Magic, especially in Modern at the time, that had absolutely absurd ETB triggers. The deck was so good at gaining life, and then you just re-trigger the life gain cards and re-trigger the cards that let you draw cards, and re-trigger Fury and re-trigger Solitude. Those cards are from Modern Horizons too, and they can basically, it says when it enters the battlefield, deal 4 damage divided among any number of target creatures or planeswalkers. There's another card that says when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature, and your opponent gains life equal to its power or toughness, whatever it is. There's a lot of really good enter the battlefield triggers, and this card basically made the game last forever. And imagine shuffling an 80 card deck, and imagine how long that takes when a lot of people are playing this card in a big event, and how long those rounds take when all the games are lasting forever and everyone's playing 80 cards. So that, I think that contributed a little bit to this card being banned, but also it's just super broken.
It's so hard for me to believe. Like, they're just not, like, I feel like, I mean, maybe there just aren't any cheaper companions that are, like, do anything meaningful, but like we talked about, the other cards that fill similar purposes.
There are cheaper companions.
I guess if there's, I don't know.
They actually are cheaper companions, and one of the cheaper companions is also banned, called Luris of the Dream Den. It's a 3 mana companion, 3 mana 3/2 lifelink, and once per turn you can cast any spell from your graveyard, and any permanent from your graveyard with mana value 2 or less. So that one got banned, and it wasn't in every deck in Modern as well. That got banned before Yoron got banned. Great. Oh, it's very insane. Yeah. So you get a lot of value putting cards in your graveyard, and you can recast them.
Will I get any of them right?
I'm thinking the same thing. So far, in all of the 5 or 6 videos that we've already done on the channel, no one has got them all wrong.
All right, well, I'm about to be the first.
You're on the right track.
I'll get first at something.
Yeah, you're gonna be first at something. You're first 6 times. You're only second 6 times. It's just 50-50.
What the hell is this? Demon of Catastrophes. This looks like from the what's it called, the Fantasia short with Ave Maria. You know what I'm talking about, like the old Disney thing. As a demon that kind of looks like this.
I don't know about that.
All right. Well, maybe anyone in the comments will understand what I'm talking about. But let's get on to the actual analysis. This one's 4 mana, 2 black, 2 anything. There's additional cost, sacrifice a creature, flying, trample, and it's 6/6.
I'm not giving you all 4 mana creatures on purpose, but this is actually, I didn't even put it together. Just giving you all 4 mana creatures and making you say whether it's good or bad.
A 6/6. So, I have to imagine you can play this in a deck where you want to generate like really cheap tokens, and you can throw this out as a 6/6 flying trample, and it's probably pretty good, right? I mean, you apply good pressure with the 6, and even if you want to trade into minions, the trample means you're still, getting that chip damage. So probably in like an aggro deck that's going pretty wide, I have to imagine this is pretty solid. The only time I played black was a control deck, so I don't know if it's actually possible for a black deck, but assuming it is, a black deck can be this aggro go wide type of thing. Maybe like some green black combination.
Well, black is notorious for being like the sacrifice archetype, having like a little bitty things and going pretty wide. Black can do almost anything you want to do besides like ramp and kill artifact.
Cool. So I'm ready to get this wrong, and I'll say this card was pretty good. I mean, just the 6/6 flying trample for it's cheaper, and you can generate a nice token to sack off and then summon this.
This card was also really hyped and also ended up being bad.
Great.
I'm not laughing in your misery.
Maybe I'm getting it wrong on purpose.
Yeah.
To
Yeah, you're getting wrong on purpose to just do the old swisheroo on the Yu-Gi-Oh on your Yu-Gi-Oh fans watching.
Of course, it's just a bit.
Yeah, it's just a bit. Yeah. It's okay. If the Yu-Gi-Oh players watching this right now, you can play Magic the Gathering too, okay? If Jesse Kotton can get all of these wrong, okay, you can have a chance in playing Magic the Gathering. Just to give you a little more context on this card. This card was pretty hyped. I loved this card. I pulled this card out of the pack back in M19 and I loved it, and quickly realized that sacrificing a creature wasn't... I mean, it is pretty easy to do, especially if you're playing a low to the ground sacrifice deck. But you usually can kill your opponent with your own sacrifice strategy, because a lot of the sacrifice cards actually like deal chip damage and burn damage to your opponent over time. So usually you're gonna how can I say it? Usually you're going to fulfill your game plan of killing your opponent regardless, and you don't need the 6/6. And also your opponent can just kill this after you've already sacrificed a creature, and that feels extra bad. I can see the sadness. Right, I can see the sadness on your face, Jesse. What's happening? What's going through your mind?
6/6 seems pretty good. How do you kill that so easily? I mean, I guess again, it's where the context is important. I don't know the formats, right? It's hard for me to envision the world it's played in.
Well, if you played a world of mono green and green red aggro and things like that, a 6/6 is almost unbeatable for those specific decks. But if you're playing against a blue deck or that can easily just return this to your hand, or a white deck that can exile this with a plethora of white exile spells, it's pretty bad. Especially considering that blue-white control is one of the most popular control archetypes, and they have 1,000,000,001 ways to deal with this. And sacrificing a creature to put it on the battlefield is cool, but when you go to attack with it, they play a 1-mana card or 2-mana card that gets rid of this, or bounce it to your hand with a Fading Hope or something. It feels extra bad to bounce this to your hand after you've already sacrificed a creature. So that's kind of where this card fell a little bit short.
Sure.
If this card said when it enters the battlefield you gain 3 life and your opponent loses 3 life, like Siege Rhino, this card would have been amazing, especially with flying and trample, but it is not Siege Rhino. Yeah, I think with some of these cards you're learning the actual significance of enter the battlefield triggers and how good they are.
Sure.
You have one more chance, Jesse, to not be the biggest loser of this show.
I'm ready to be the biggest loser. Ooh, Dinosaur. Rotting Regisaur. This is a zombie dinosaur. 3 mana. Right now we're talking my speed, some lower cost. 7/6. Beginning of your upkeep, discard a card. Okay, so my thought process for all this stuff is the closest. So part of the reason why I'm thinking Hearthstone is my thought process when trying to like relate this to another card game to see how good it is. I can't do it to Yu-Gi-Oh because it's too different. So I try to relate it to Hearthstone, which I have more knowledge of, and that's like kind of why Hearthstone's in my mind. And if I was playing a 7/6 in Hearthstone and then bidding my upkeep, I discarded a card, that'd be pretty good because I mean at that point it gets to swing. Although I guess there's not really quick play spells in Hearthstone. And Magic you can. I would dodge. You wouldn't have to you wouldn't have the negative effect on a sorcery removal, but what were the spells? Quick play spells called again?
Instance,
yeah. Instance would be a problem though. This stat line has to just be crazy, and I don't know. Like obviously, you're losing card advantage in you're replacing it with this tempo or just aggressive damage. But I mean, even if you're connecting once, it has to be rather solid. I'm gonna say this card was good, and I'm ready to get it wrong again. This stat line has to be good.
Okay, so a couple things about this card. Yes, it is really, really bad against instance. It doesn't have trample, which means your opponent can just chump block this. like every turn, and you can just keep pitching cards out of your hand and just losing the game slowly.
Oh yeah, the no trample part. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
But this card was good.
Yeah.
You got it. You're the one,
Yeah.
1 and 4. You got one of this card was good. There was no way to cheat this card out on turn 2 of the game, especially back when it was in standard. But there was a card called Otepic Huntmaster, which was in a Jund Dinosaurs deck back in standard, and you cast it on turn 2. Otepic Huntmaster says you can tap it to give another dinosaur haste. So you would play that on turn 2, play this on turn 3, target this, give it haste, attack them for 7 on turn 3 of the game. And if you had a follow-up Rotting Regisaur after that, or any kind of big dinosaur follow-up, you almost always won the game immediately, which was very strong. Also, it's even played in Pioneer in some green-black Collected Company decks. They're not really prevalent in the format or anything, but Rotting Regisaur is played in any deck playing Collected Company that has black in it, which is, green-black Collected Company. It was one of the best creatures of its time when it was in standard. So I'm gonna say that this card was good, and you got it right, and you escaped the goose egg 0 out of 5.
Yes.
Yeah. We need to have some like hooray music in the video and everything, because we escaped the 0 for 5. Hopefully you had a good time with evaluating some Magic cards. Well, thanks again for being on the show. Where can we find you? Are you on Twitch?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter. Probably the best 3 spots. It's Jesse Kotton YouTube on YouTube. It's Jesse Kotton YG on Twitch, or it's Jesse Kotton on Twitter.
All right, you heard it. Go follow him on all the socials. Do it right now. Click that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you do want to see more videos like this. This is the first one we're doing with a Yu-Gi-Oh player rating Magic the Gathering cards. So if you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh players on the show, let me know down in the comments, and I'll do my best to try to get them on the show. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.